Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, Sandy.
How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Good.
Okay. Hi, Sandy. Can you hear me too?
Let's give it a couple minutes. We got people jumping on here. Total of 9. So I'm going to give it just another minute or two to see if anybody else comes on. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Gosh. Probably missing maybe Arlene, so just give it another minute. Is it lunchtime, Ryan?
Yeah. Lisa came over and looked and she was like, "Ooh, can I have some?"
What are you eating?
It's just chicken and rice. Super boring, but you know, gets the job done. So.
All right, well, we are a couple minutes after noon, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think we have one more person that may jump on here. So as always with our momentum programs, you're going to find a lot of the same themes running through each of these classes as we go through. And so we're going to start here in a minute. This one's social media, but I think that you're also going to find that some of the course content is going to also interact with our video boot camp, our phone prospecting boot camp. So some of the same themes. So hopefully you guys will start to see some of these things kind of pull together and come together. You know, as we get into social media, it's going to relay back to some of the video stuff because you're going to do some video on social media. And then also, of course, your phone prospecting, creating value, and you know, what is the content that you're doing when you're phone prospecting. So again, I think as we go through this, you all will find some similar philosophy, and hopefully again it will just reiterate what we've already talked about in the past and just reinforce everything, and we can kind of get things you know, get your brand and your marketing out there via social media. So I am going to share my screen here and we will go ahead and get started. Okay, can you guys see that now? Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
I can see it.
All right, awesome. Okay, and also as I always say with these are supposed to be interactive. You guys have a lot of vast experience and things that you've done over the years that may work and may not work, and so we're all here to also share our experiences and you know, things that we've done that have worked and what haven't worked, and share ideas. So we want this to be open and communicative as we go through the class. You don't want to hear me talk the whole time. So, course overview today. So we're in your workbook, we're on page 3. Today we're going to work on teaching proven strategies for social media, for advertising on social media. And hopefully after this class, you're going to feel comfortable and confident in implementing some social media strategies. We want to increase your exposure and your brand as we increase your social media presence. So as we always know, we want to prospect. We have to generate leads. You got to convert the leads. The marketing part is what we're talking about. You're going to service the clients and then we continue marketing. So this is the part we're working on today, is the internet social media marketing part of your business. Okay. So why use social media? And just real quickly, I mean, how many of you all feel like you have a pretty good social media presence now? I mean, I'm assuming if you're here, you're looking to improve on that. But just if you all want to just speak out and say, hey, do you feel like, you have a pretty good social media presence now, or, you feel like you are ready to expand it, or you just are kind of floundering right now with it? Anybody? You guys?
I mean, I can give a little bit of input. So I kind of feel like, personally, I took somewhat of a hiatus off social media, and I'm young, and a lot of my friends kind of felt the same, where they just didn't want to have it constantly badgering them. So it to me, it's kind of interesting to try and find the line of making sure it's informative and fun, but making sure it's not just like, oh, I have to see this again, so.
Right. And we are going to talk about that today and really talk about where your target audience is now and where you should be spending your time. Because it may be different for you, Ryan, than it would be for someone like Nick. So just depending on the demographics. So we're going to dive in a little deeper on that. So thank you for sharing. I think we've all had our times where we're just like, I'm so sick of social media, I can't do it anymore. But it's important as a business person that we have our presence out there. So we're going to talk about that and how to do it really in a more automatic way, so that it's automatically posting for you. So why do we want to use social media? It definitely helps. And we are on page 4 of your workbook right now. You're going to increase your outreach. We can obviously have some quick engagement, because you can obviously, talk back and forth with people, on social media. Advertising, we're going to talk about that a lot today. We don't want to overly advertise on our personal page, but you definitely want to have a business page, and there are ways that you can engage and advertise and again, build your brand. The opportunity to build, grow, and reinforce your brand. You can have enhanced network opportunities and, of course, elevated lead generation. So that's our goal today with our social media. So some of the things, we always talk about in these classes how your thoughts matter. And many times we can have limiting beliefs based on, we talked about it in phone prospecting, we talked about it in video, these limiting beliefs that keep us from moving forward and taking action and doing the things that we should do to help us grow our business. So again, we're going to kind of go over that here. Thoughts matter, and we want to make sure that, we're not letting our own thoughts get in the way of our social media. Just like Ryan just stated, hey, my friends are kind of sick of social media and we all kind of took a hiatus. But Ryan, you may want to target a different market, such as your friend's parents, so we may need to get over that block and that limiting belief. So on page 5 of your workbook, you'll see some of the things that you may think, well, social media isn't worth the investment. Well, we have to remember now, especially those of us who've been in the business for a long time, we used to spend a ton of money on print advertising, in the newspaper and all the home guides and all of that stuff. Well, we're not spending that now. So you need to think of those marketing dollars that you used to spend may now go into your marketing on your social media. And we'll talk about some different ways that you can do that as well. Social media is a fad. I think we all know now that social media isn't just a fad. Now, maybe some platforms out there may come up as being a fad, but Facebook has been around forever. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of these things have definitely continued to stay. And I think we all know now that they're no longer a fad. And then social media isn't where my audience is. Well, we need to look at that. And we're going to look at different types of social media to see if we can target where your audience may be. So I do want you all to take a few minutes of time on page 5 and just take a few minutes and write down where you feel like your blocks are. What are some 5 limited beliefs about social media that you possess? Nick, I know you and I talked a little bit about it, and you just weren't sure that your audience was there, and maybe that wasn't going to work. But we all know we want to expand that audience. So when you rewrite that limited belief, maybe that belief is, I don't think I'm going to get any business from it. And then if you rewrite it, in the second part of that, you may say, I want to expand my business and expand my audience, and I can do that through social media, so that we can kind of start to eliminate some of those blocks that are keeping us from getting on social media on a regular basis. I know for me, sometimes I feel like it can be overwhelming because it's just one more thing you have to do in your day. So we're going to talk about that and how to automate it. So maybe my limiting belief would be, you know what, it just is so time consuming, and I just don't have time for it in my day. And so rewriting that would be, hey, Sandy, you need to automate it so it really doesn't take so much time in your day. So some examples there of some limited beliefs and then rewriting those beliefs. Let me give you guys a few minutes to do that. And that's page 5 in your workbook. Okay, so does anybody want to take a couple minutes and just share some of the limited beliefs? Because I think that when we share, we also find that sometimes it pops an idea in our own heads of something that we hadn't thought of that might be a limited belief out there. And it always helps to, again, try to just reinforce that with an affirmation. You guys have a lot of experience out there. Anybody want to share what they've written down so far?
Wrote well, I don't have a lot of experience, but I put limited views, as in you're not reaching a high number of people, but at the same time, any views that any people who see it is still more than if you had nothing, so
Correct. All right, do I have to start calling on people? So what did you write down?
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Sue.
All right, so I'm not quite sure I followed your instructions, but I mean, basically the only thing I do with any regularity is Facebook. So I have my business page and I have my personal page, and I have a lot of people, a lot of friends, and a lot of people like it. And I don't do much because I'm just scared I'm going to do the wrong thing. So I watch, and I was like trying to post something every week, just random things going on in real estate world. And, the same people liked it. They're my friends, my neighbors, those people. But I know I'm way underutilizing it, but I'm too concerned I'm going to do the wrong thing. So I'm in a stalemate. And Sarah used to do more of this, but she's early 30s, and her feelings about Facebook are different than mine. My peer group, they're all watching it all the time. So I know it's a big audience. It's just approaching it correctly is my problem.
Great. Hey, and that's what we mean by limiting belief. Oh my gosh, I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing, or maybe I'm just not as familiar with other programs out there, so you get a block on that. So to rewrite that, we're going to work today on what is some good content and appropriate content to put out there, and we're going to give you lots of tools and resources for that.
And even the basics of what I can say on my business page versus how I share it on my personal page, and what's appropriate and what's not. It's that basic level that I struggle with.
Right. So, and we definitely will go into that a little bit today as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of a limiting belief and a block for you. And thanks for sharing. And then to rewrite that, just to say, hey, I'm going to be confident and find some tools that I know will work and are appropriate.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody else? Again, we don't get much out of a class if we don't share. So anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments about what's kind of keeping them from moving forward?
I think it's my feeling has been for quite some time that it's saturated. So it's a little overpopulated, and there seems to be always some sort of a development of something you need to do or be on top of, or you won't be able to survive anymore. But I've had a Facebook page for a long time. I've mixed it to an extent with some business stuff. I know that's not particularly advisable. Most of what I've done over the many years has been staying in touch through direct mail and more direct contact. But I know you have to have a presence there. And what I'm doing now is diving into understanding all the different portals. I've got a Facebook business page now, and I'm looking into all the other aspects of things and coming to some thoughts and ideas as to how I want to fit into it.
Right.
How I want my brand and personality and how I see myself and how I want to portray myself and come to some real well thought out decisions as to how I want to be reflected there in the different vehicles, portals.
Perfect. And we're actually going to dive into that in a little bit deeper here as well as we go through the class. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing. And if you didn't get those filled out, again, you have your workbooks there, so you may want to go spend some time a little bit later on that and what's blocking you. So now we're going to kind of get into some of those things that we talked about in social media basics. So we're going to talk about, again, we need these lead generation systems in place and where to post. So social media is always constantly changing. There's new platforms that come out, and so it is important that we kind of keep up with those new things. And that's what our job here for you guys as the staff is, to kind of help you all too when these new things come out, to teach you how to do it and how to be automatic about it, which is what we're doing today. And this is, Nick, a little bit of what you were talking about, is to, how to post and then what to post. And we're going to get into that a little bit with some resources for you all to find out, some of the things that you can post. And as Sue said, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But we want to definitely post content that enhances your personal brand, just like you were talking about, Nick. Provides value to your target audience. So we're definitely going to talk about your target audience and what are they looking for? What is it that they need? Is your particular target audience maybe looking to downsize? Is your particular target audience, all of Frederick County? And is there things going on in Frederick County that might be useful to them? And then it also is going to build your reputation as a trusted real estate expert. As we do items of value and that kind of thing, that in our phone prospecting and our video and all of those things, we want to come across as the professional and the trusted expert. Content should be posted in a consistent cadence aligned to the platforms where your individual target audiences are. And we're going to really talk about that and dive into that as well here. So if we go on to page 7, this is what many of you all are talking about, identifying your target audience. So your social media target audience is created by identifying specific people that you want to appeal to with the content that you share. A target audience can be created based off demographics such as age, income level, location, behavior, etc. Just like we talked about, maybe Ryan, your target market is more, first-time home buyer millennials. Maybe it's the parents of them that are ready to downsize. Maybe it's that whole, Aaron, I know that you've been in the military before. So, maybe you have more of a target market for the military and your neighborhoods and those kinds of things. Here we talk about, Sue talked about, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Be careful not to incorporate impermissible traits, such as, obviously, as we know, for fair housing reasons, sex, race, religion, familial status, or disability. And as I've talked to many of you guys, and I would also refrain from talking politics on social media. 50% of the population may not agree with your politics, and you may have alienated 50% of your target base. So I would just please try to refrain from political talk on any of your social media, because we don't want to offend someone who may be a potential customer later on down the road. And you may lose that customer and didn't even know you lost them. So what we're going to work on today is creating content that is relevant. And I'm going to give you some tools of where to find some of that information today. Understand how to create content. And most of your platforms, is pretty easy to do. But we're going to talk about a lot of the tools that you guys have in Max Center on how to create content. It makes it very easy for you. And then connect with your target audience via the correct social platform. So, Ryan, you may find that more of your platform is on Instagram now or Snapchat than in Facebook. So, or some people may find that more of their audience is on Twitter. So, again, we just kind of need to, we'll talk about how we evaluate that and figure out where we should be. And your target audience can and will change over time. As you grow, as you explore and do different things, you're going to add or delete even certain people in your target audience. So on page 8, I want you guys just to take a few minutes and write down, some of the things for you to think about when we're talking about your target audience and what we might post. And again, be careful not to incorporate anything that's going to get you in trouble with fair housing for over here, or alienate someone in the community. So what is my specialty? Do you want first-time home buyers, downsizing, commercial, luxury? Is it overall residential? Is it, do you have certain areas that you may work with as well? And then what are the demographics of my ideal client? I think that we need to, what are things that you like to do? What are things that you enjoy doing? And maybe if you have kids out there, maybe your demographics are going to be, the baseball group parents that you're out there with coaching. Maybe it's the demographics of your ideal client is you just really relate more to, a geriatric set of population, and that just really works for you. Maybe it is military. So, try to find out where do you feel like you would feel most comfortable, and where are you most comfortable, working with people. I see you laughing out there, Ryan.
The geriatric comment was just too good.
Well, we actually do have some people that really do work on downsizing and estate planning and all of those things. So. What qualities on that third one, what qualities characterize my ideal client? I mean, I think that I would hope that everybody writes down in there that, ideal clients are people who are motivated. They want to work, they want to buy or they want to sell, and they respect us. I mean, I know that that's one of the things that I would write down there. I want people who to work with me, who are going to respect me, respect my opinion, and kind of, follow my lead instead of, trying to control the process and not respect me as a professional. And then again, what is my ideal client looking for when finding a real estate agent? Hopefully for me, it would be, I want somebody who is looking for honesty and ethics and integrity. Maybe somebody might be looking more for, somebody who's that really hard time negotiator. Maybe the person who really is good at, the staging and marketing. So, what would your ideal client be looking for in a real estate agent? I know, like, Nancy and Gary tend to do more horse farms and farm areas. So they may write that down, for them. And then that last part, what platforms and avenues does my ideal client use? Well, like Sue, you already mentioned, that a lot of your target audience is on Facebook. So, you're going to write that down. But maybe that's expanding more. Maybe it is more on Instagram. I see your daughter on Instagram all the time. So, if you're servicing her friends and family, some of those other things maybe, or are you on Twitter all the time? And do you get tweets and see tweets all the time? So. Okay. Again, if we all haven't quite finished that, certainly go back and revisit that. And, you know, when you have some thoughtful time to, before we start adding content out there. So now we're going to go on to, and we're on page 9 in your workbook, understanding the different social media platforms. So we definitely want to focus your efforts on where your target audience is. And we may not know that until we start posting. And then we're going to find out, are people engaging with that? Are we getting likes? Are we getting leads from it? And so again, determining which platforms to focus on may take a little bit of trial and error. So we're going to kind of go through some of these individually. So we know that the 3 most effective and highly used platforms by real estate agents are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So Facebook, I think everybody's familiar with Facebook and what it does. It's considered the go-to media and has for billions of people around the world. And it is an essential component of your social media marketing. So again, I think everybody should have, no matter how much you feel like your target market is engaged in Facebook, I think it is important to have a business Facebook page and at least be out there somewhat. And Instagram and Facebook, as you may know, are connected. And when you post to Facebook, there are ways that you can automatically post to Instagram. I'm finding, and what I feel like is more people in Sue, as in Sarah's age, my children's age, tend to use Instagram now more than they do Facebook. I think they've gotten, like you, Ryan, they're kind of tired of Facebook. Instagram is more of a picture, program, and you can put a lot of photos on there and put your stories on there and that kind of thing. So
yeah, I will.
All the moms got on there,
yeah.
on Facebook, so the kids left.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, as funny as that comment is, it's kind of true. A lot of the younger people move to Instagram because they don't really want to see all the old stuff. They want to really connect with their friends, which is, again, one of my concerns about, like, oh, I don't want them to see something and then just throw it aside and be like, oh, I don't want it. Like, I just don't want it to be too much like advertising. And I think that it's really important to focus on, like you said, providing like a service or something that they find really useful, more than just, hi, I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. So
Correct. And we're actually going to jump into some different topics and things that you can do to provide value that doesn't come across as just salesy. LinkedIn is more of a professional network. So if you really want to connect and expand your networking and I would say referral base from business to business, LinkedIn is a great place to be. And I would suggest everybody have a profile on LinkedIn, because you can definitely connect with your insurance agents, your accountants, your other real estate agents in other areas that you may get referrals from. So, I would say that absolutely everybody should have a presence on all 3 of these. How much is going to connect, and you may use one more than the other to connect with a potential target audience. So anybody have any questions on those 3 before we move on? I agree with you, Sue. All the moms were on Facebook, so the kids got off. But moms buy homes, right? Okay, so YouTube. Obviously, you guys know YouTube is a little bit more of a different format for people. You're definitely going to be using video on YouTube. And so we got to go back to our video our video boot camp to really talk about how you do video and make sure your lighting's correct, your content's correct, how long are your videos. And it depends. If you are doing something that's more of a training, maybe you're going to do a first-time home buyer seminar on YouTube. That's a perfect place to do it, and you can upload a longer content versus just a quick thing that would be on Facebook. Twitter, I think we all know about Twitter. Twitter, though, Twitter's obviously a smaller platform. You can only put so much content out on Twitter. I know you can do some videos and that kind of thing, but that's not going to necessarily be your first time home buyer class format. But you can definitely advertise, what you're doing in a small amount of video or send someone to someplace else. Pinterest. Is anybody using Pinterest now on a regular basis?
I'm not, but I plan to make one and use it for real estate.
Yeah. And I don't know, I haven't heard people talk about Pinterest as much, but it's definitely a great platform for you to put for things for people to go find. Hey, how do you stage a home? Do you need a landscaper or a florist? And here's some ideas for, putting out and some pictures. I mean, it's a great place to post pictures too for landscaping ideas or staging ideas, and you can even, obviously add some things that are more of interest, like your favorite recipes and that kind of stuff that would engage with people and not a salesy way. And Snapchat, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that my granddaughter is on Snapchat. I think that's definitely a younger generation. I'm not as familiar with Snapchat, but I think that, again, Ryan, you're the youngest one here of the group, but my granddaughter's 13 and she's on Snapchat. So she's not quite ready to buy a home yet.
Yeah.
So
I will say that Snapchat is, I don't know if it's really what you would want to do for building a real estate brand or anything. It's much more for really just for friends and stuff. It's really not. I don't think it would be very useful for real estate. Yeah.
So it might be a great way for you just to continue to maintain those relationships.
Yeah.
And obviously people know that, hey, you're a realtor through other formats. So anybody have any questions on any of that? And I am going to say over here, we're going to get into, where you can find resources through RE/MAX. And under your MAX Center, you will see a RE/MAX social media best practice guide for more information on each of those platforms. So Sue, when you're talking about appropriate content and when to post and where to post, that's a resource on your MAX Center as well. And I'm going to talk about a lot of resources for this stuff that you have on your MAX Center.
Sorry, I was zoning there for a minute. Say that again.
When you were talking about what content to put out there and what's appropriate, RE/MAX MAX Center has a social media platform, do's and don'ts, in your MAX Center. And so I'm going to kind of go into where you all will find that stuff and find a lot of your content. So it's available to you on MAX Center.
Thank you. Great.
Okay, and just a reminder, there are many social media platforms available. You must identify which are most relevant to your audience. And your key questions is, where is your target audience and which of these social media platforms will return the largest investment on my time and money? And we're going to talk about how you would do that. So here, just like you were talking about, Nick, building and growing your brand. For all of us, we need to make sure we're putting content out there that grows our brand. So the must-haves of a personal brand are, you must be authentic. You don't try to be something that you're not. I'm not going to try to, relate to, someone who is, a billionaire in New York City, and I just don't really have anything in common with them. So I'm not going to try to be that if that's not who I am. So, you just need to be authentic about, who you are. It must be a reflection of what you do. What kind of services do you provide, and examples of your expertise and knowledge? And again, we're going to get into some resources of where you can find that content to post. You must amplify what you believe in. And that's really important. And a thoughtful display of your ideas, your personality, your values, and your beliefs. Again, don't try to be something that you're not. And all of us have a unique personality to put out there and what we value and what our beliefs are. So when you're doing your personal brand, you want to do your vision, your values and value. And then we're going to talk about, well, what do you say and how you see yourself and your knowledge and your expertise. And then you want to see, you want to think about how others are seeing you. What are your opinions and what are their opinions of you and what is your reputation? Are you seen as kind of goofy and funny? Are you seen as very serious? Are you seen as professional? Are you seen as the great negotiator? Are you seen as a person who has, you know, many years of experience? Are you seen as a person who has a lot of energy out there? So there's a lot of, you know, different ways that people are going to see you and your reputation and what you're putting out there in your brand. The perceived value, what are they perceiving? Everything is perception. So what are they perceiving as the value for you? And how do they feel when they interact with you? So now we're going to really talk about content creation and why it's important. So the kind of content you create and post on social media can increase awareness of who you are and what your brand is. Definitely we want to increase engagement. We're going to talk about, you know, how are you asking questions? Are you engaging with people? Driving traffic to your website. So are you making sure that your, you know, that your content has a link to go to your website where people can search properties and find out more about you and your brand. And then create and find client advocates. We obviously all want to work by referral. So, you know, if we're out there, it's not always that person that's going to be the one that we get the business from, but somebody that refers us. So, key question is how you create value. You're going to identify your target audience, identify what your audience needs, and then how will you be valuable to them? So I just want you guys to think about that a little bit. You know, if you want to differentiate yourself and what your target audience may be, and what do they need? What are they looking for? As I talked about before, we may be in a place where people are looking to move to Florida now, or get out of, you know, downsize into something smaller. Maybe our target audience is people who have growing families, and you know, they're looking to find larger homes right now with yards and having their dog and all that good stuff. So what do they need, and then how would you be valuable to that? We want to make sure it's relevant, meaningful and appropriate, irresistible, something that everybody really wants. And again, some of these things are the exact same things we talked about in our video marketing class and our phone prospecting class. So you're going to start to see that your brand is going to say the same thing consistently throughout all of your prospecting. And then something that the audience can't get anywhere else. What is rare, unparalleled, and unique? You guys should all be using the brand for that, because if you're in competition with a Long & Foster or Keller Williams or any other company out there, RE/MAX absolutely has a lot with the brand. So make sure you're pulling that information when it comes to market share and the value of the brand and the balloon and the that RE/MAX sells more than anybody else in the world. That's unique. So make sure you're pulling that content in. So we're going to talk about, now we're on page 14. This is some of the things that you could use. And I want you all to really, and we're going to show you where you can find some content like this. But listings, obviously a lot of people want to see your listings. I would not post all of your listings on your personal Facebook page. It's just like Ryan said, that ends up becoming too salesy. Definitely want to post it on your business Facebook page though, for sure, your listings. A home buyer's guide, a home seller's guide. That's really important information for people out there. A relocation guide. So here's just some, different things of content creation. And then of course, success stories, client testimonials, maybe your milestones. We always give you guys your awards as you're earning them out there, and post those out on social media. I post you guys and your awards out on my social media page. So to acknowledge that. Any of your community involvement, that's a real big one. And then interaction with other local businesses. That's a great way to, form those business to business relationships. And then again, we've talked about this in our video boot camp, how important it is to have video. And a lot of these social media platforms are going to really require, and if you want better engagement, require that you use video. So if you want to go back and review the video boot camp that we did, and if you didn't have part in that video boot camp and you want the workbook, and we also have it taped on our YouTube page, let me know and I can get you that information. Again, video humanizes yourself. They see you face to face. It establishes credibility. You create relatability. It's a firsthand display of your character, expertise, and knowledge. Delivers experience that stands out above the crowd because not everybody is doing video. Matter of fact, a small portion of people are actually doing video on a regular basis. And then you want to strengthen relationships and build new ones. And again, consider video when you're posting your content. We talked about this before with our video when we did the video boot camp. These are just some ideas of when you should post on these platforms. Now, as we talked about in our video boot camp, you also need to though do it at a time when it's good for you. So if you can set a schedule and it automatically posts, you can pick these times of the day, and this is what we would suggest. But if you really are saying, hey, any day at 11 o'clock, but at 11 o'clock just doesn't work for you in your schedule, then do it at 9 o'clock or whatever works. It's better to do it consistently than to just be stuck to a specific schedule. Pick the times that work for you. But these are just some suggested times, because as we start to build the calendar, this may be a suggested times that you all would want to post. Basically, they've done this based on algorithms of when people are actually on Facebook or going to be coming, like Facebook any day at 11, because most people go and eat lunch and then they're going to look at Facebook while they're eating their lunch. So you've just posted right before lunchtime. So that's the way that they come up with some of these time frames.
I will say that a lot of the sites have ways that you can time your posts. So you can set a release schedule. So as soon as you can make 10 posts all at once, and then you can say, okay, this one's going up Friday at 11, and then this one's going up at Sunday at 2 o'clock, and this one's, you know what I mean? So there's ways that you can time them.
Right. And that's what we were going to talk about. Set it and forget it. So spend some time creating the content and then set it to schedule, and then it'll go out. Okay. So now we're on page 17. One way to get into a consistent posting cadence is to create a content calendar, just like you were talking about, Ryan, and then both weekly and monthly goals to ensure you're posting to the social platforms that are relevant to your target audience. You want to have a high enough frequency and consistency to stay top of mind and be of value. And the hint, set it and forget it. So I'd like for you guys to write down all of these things that you can find under your Max Center. These are all platforms that you can use to make content and then set it and forget it. So under your Max Center, you've got AdWorks. So you can definitely create ads there and they'll post them for you at specific time frames. You've got Megaphone. That's absolutely, you get free listings through your Megaphone app, but you can also increase that and post those and definitely capture leads through Megaphone. Go to your Remax Marketplace tab in your Max Center. Under your marketing marketplace, and then you will find, and then click on marketing and you'll find a whole slew of digital marketing posts under there. So marketplace, and then you'll see on the left-hand side, you'll see marketing, and then you scroll down and you'll see digital. And there's a ton of different resources there for your marketing materials. Remax Hustle. There's really cool little mini commercials on there that you can personalize to yourself that go along with the national advertising. And so they're quick, easy, and they're really cool. So Remax Hustle is a very fast way to make some of those video commercials real simple. And then if you also go into your marketing portal on your Mac Center, and then you can click on digital and social media. That's definitely going to give you lots of different ideas on different things that you can post digitally. Brand resources, there's lots of different content under there. There's, what are some nightmares of being a FSBO, green home ideas. There's school districts and why are school districts important. So go under your brand resources again, and you'll find a lot of great content under there that you can just use and Sue, when you're talking about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate and trying to come up with the ideas, use all the resources that you have because there's a ton there. If you go to NAR, they've got some great content on there as well. Maybe you want to do something on the 10 mistakes that a for sale by owner does. So use all of the resources that you have as a real estate agent to find, different content to post. And then you're going to set it and forget it. So just like Ryan said, you guys can schedule these things way out in advance. So, go in and make your content. And so maybe you spend one morning every day on your social media, but then you can set it for when and how it posts and then kind of forget it. Sue, I agree with you though. Sometimes you have to be out there daily about what's going on in your daily life, especially on your personal pages, because that's where you get the engagement with people and your friends and your family. Anybody have any questions on that? Definitely use the resources that you have. Now this is where we want to find out, okay, is where we're posting working? We need to constantly be monitoring it and change it if we're not on the right platform. So simple metrics to measure once you've started posting, how many likes and shares are you getting? Are you getting a larger growth of followers? How many people are following your pages now? Followers versus following ratio. So how many people are following you and then are they continuing to engage on your pages? Organic, active advocates and fans. So do you have people out there posting? Once you've posted something, are they posting back like, great job? Yeah, you worked for us, Aaron, and we loved you. And, those are the kinds of things. Are you getting that engagement with your posts? How many clicks per posts are you getting? Lead generation. Are they going to your website? Are you getting leads from your posts? Audience mentions, and then what return are you getting on your investment? So if you found that you paid for an advertising or to boost a post on Google, how many leads did you get from that and was it worth it? So these are all the things that you're going to start to measure as you start to post your social media, and is it working or not? And if it's not, we need to find either a different way or a different avenue. Anybody have questions on that? I know it's rainy out there. Are you guys asleep today? So results are key. Again, we're on page 18. So this is where it's really important. Again, if we track this information, then we know if where we're posting is working. So, this is your different platforms. So if you're on Facebook, how much money did you spend to boost that post? What engagement rate did you get out of it? How many client connections and how many leads did you generate? So you really need to start tracking this stuff to know if it's effective or not. So you make sure you're putting your money in the best place and you're getting a return on that investment. And there's, as you can see on page 19, you've got your different, make a bunch of copies of this on page 19, because you'll see where you can track your Facebook, your Instagram, and all of the different venues and avenues that we have, LinkedIn. So again, make a bunch of copies of that, and as you're doing it, you want to track. If you can't track it, we don't know if it's working or not, right? Okay, we are kind of at the end of our social media boot camp class here, and just kind of a key wrap up. Before we kind of wrap up here is, does anybody have any questions or thoughts that they'd like to share? I think you guys are the quietest group that we've had in a while. So.
I was gonna say that for me, it's a little bit overwhelming to think about and trying to plan all of this out while I'm also getting started. So I mean, obviously a lot of you guys, you're already very knowledgeable in everything, and you probably have a ton already up here. For me, I'm still learning a ton, so it's kind of difficult for me to really parse through and think about what to put on there. So I'd love to hear if you guys had any other thoughts about that.
Anybody want to share? Ryan, I'm glad you're awake today. But I will tell you, Ryan, just to start out, just when you're talking about your brand and being authentic, just start out being yourself, and just, with your friends. As you get into the Buffini program and you start to send out items of value, you're going to have something every single month that you're going to be emailing and you're going to be mailing. And those items of value you can absolutely talk about on your social media. So you're going to have that content coming to you regularly. And again, absolutely go out onto the RE/MAX site, because you will find things like, for sale by owner mistakes and school districts, and why is that important? And so all kinds of different information on many of those sites. But for right now, I would just say, just be yourself. And, you can always kind of let people know what you're doing, but talk about things that you enjoy, your Ironman and your, other stuff. And then once you build those relationships, those conversations just start happening. What do you do? And what do you do?
Did you do an Ironman triathlon?
I'm training for one right now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Oh, that's really great. Impressive.
Thanks.
All right. So that's just kind of your action items. Obviously, if we take training and we don't take action, then nothing ever happens. So at the very last page, 21 of your workbook, I want you all to pull that out and then take your action items away from what we discussed today. So that's the end of our social media boot camp. Again, I'm here, and seriously, if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything right now that you want to talk about or share, I'm here. If not, we're good. We're done. This recording will be put up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and hear some of the things that we talked about, you can listen to it again.
Is anybody using Twitter?
I'm not. I'm not. Instagram I do, but it's really just family, and I get baby pictures on Snapchat, and then there's Facebook. That's about it. How about you, Nick? Twitter?
I'm exploring. I can't quite see where where the benefit would be on there. Do you use it, Sandy?
I do not. I mean, we will sometimes, as the office, Twitter things out. I find Twitter, for me, it doesn't allow enough content, I guess. And I guess for myself too, I've gotten a little turned off by some of the people that tweet constantly, and it's sort of like I said, it's in your face all the time, and you kind of get sick of that. So I guess for me, that particular platform, I've gotten a little bit turned off by it. But I do know it reaches a really vast audience. And so if you truly wanted to maybe promote something that you're doing, such as a first-time home buyer class or something like that, that might be, you know, a good platform to sort of promote something to send them someplace else.
Right. Yeah, that's in my experience, that's where you could find the most value, is including a link to a website or to wherever you're trying to go, because you're not going to fit it all in there. So, I mean, it's an option, but I don't know.
Personally, I think I would just start with the three main ones if you're not already doing them: the Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You know, make sure you're really engaged on those three things, and then maybe expand it from there.
Okay.
And the LinkedIn, I mean, I've had that forever, but I've never thought of that as a resource other than authenticating I'm, you know, who I am and what I am. Is there anything somewhere that talks about how to use that?
So yeah, actually, if you go on to LinkedIn, you will also see that you can set up auto replies. So anytime someone, you know, accepts your friendship or whatever, you can automatically have a reply that goes back to them that says, "Hey, so glad to have interacted with you. If I can ever be of any help with any of my services," that kind of thing. So you can set up automatic responses in LinkedIn, and that might help to get you a little bit bigger engagement.
So yeah, LinkedIn is less of a, oh, I'm gonna post something kind of thing, and more of a net, like Sandy said, a networking type thing. So LinkedIn is really your, hi, I'm a realtor. That's more what LinkedIn is. It's not really a constant posting where you say, oh yeah, I'm gonna showcase this property and whatever. It's more of networking kind of things.
Yeah, I tend to just ignore it because I get, I mean, requests for every loan officer out there and home inspectors, and they're like stalking me more than me trying to use it as a marketing tool. So I guess maybe I'll look at that auto reply thing.
Yeah, and you know, when you do get those emails that say, "Hey, so and so wants to be your friend," or "Look what so and so, you know, just accomplished," I usually go in there and at least click on and, you know, maybe say congratulations or, you know, something like that. So when it's the engagement, but you really can't. I really do think that's more of business to business, and it's also actually if you're looking to hire staff.
Yeah.
Or build your team, that's a great place to go for, you know, job postings. And if you're looking for maybe somebody like Nick is using somebody now as his IT person to you know, set up his IT stuff and do social media, that's a great place to go look for those kinds of resources too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for participating today. As always, I appreciate it. I hope you've gotten at least something out of the class. And next week we will be doing, I believe it's the emotionally intelligent agent. I think in this day and age and right now, we absolutely need to dive in deep on that one, and all the craziness going on out there, and with the low inventory and inexperienced agents that we're dealing with, and lack of professionalism. And we really need to be the person that is that emotionally intelligent, centered, calm person. So we're going to go through some strategies to work on maintaining that as well. Thanks as always. And I'm here if you need anything. If any questions come up, shoot me a text, email, as you know, or phone call. I'm always available.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
It was no makeup Wednesday, so I'll try to be prepared next time.
Okay.
Bye.